Okay, so we'll get this show on the road. For the nth time. My God, I don't know how many times have we recorded this. So I have a scene, which is a series of trees, or well, one direction light, 3-point lights, my terrain, my trees, my skybox, which has the same, sorry. And then these guys, there's scaling issues in my scene where I built them in reference to the scaling issues of the outside model, so these guys are just really whitewashed because they are actually a normal scale where everyone else is different. So, as you can see, the trees and the terrain both receive the same shader, unlike everyone else, which I'll let them just kind of wander by so you can see that it is indeed working. Yeah, and the leaves are kind of like flat little textures. So that's why some of the lighting effects looks a wee bit derpy, as they happen to hit the leaves at different angles. Zoom way out, and my fog effect eventually takes over and blends everything to scene, except for those two little lights. So, I accomplished this with 4 textures. The skybox texture, the grass texture, leaves, and bark. I have 3 shaders. The shader texture, which is used for my skybox. Shader color, which is a flat color which I'm using for my little fireflies to make them really pop and look like a light source. So I made them a flat color, so they're really bright compared to the rest of the scene. Ideally, I'd like to do this with a blur effect, but I don't have one, so. Then here's my real shader, which is shader texture light, one direction light, 3-point lights, and fog effect, which I've been using what they do as their name, which looks really gross, but I think it helps when you go to the draw phase. It gets really clean, much cleaner. And this guy doesn't do much, doesn't really move anywhere, so I set him real quick, just right here. Models, the firefly object is using the sphere. Probably a little overkill for what it is, but most I have, skybox, the tree, outside model, cube, my pyramid, train model, and then my graphics objects, which I set some values for the firefly. Grass, oh yeah, grass is a misname of the old name of it used to be a tree. I could let it just die. Yeah, I'll just fix that real quick. And while I'm here, I'll show you a lot of the default values are all up here. Make things a little bit easier on my part. So we'll rename you to be a tree. There we go. Sorry. Back to the original plan. I'm basically using a lot of the default values just because I think that looks better. Oh yeah, the trees, the outside resource is 11 different meshes. So yeah, that's why that looks so weird. Okay, so the claim to fame of what I built here is my lighting effect. My lights, sorry. I made them actually a separate class so I can make lights. So my light base is just ambient, diffuse, and specular. My spotlight, which is the same light base with with its own unique values. And then all these guys, which I've made everything basically as public as possible, just I wanted these guys to be very handy little containers that I can use anywhere. Point light, exact same idea. Direction light, exact same idea. So I set my direction light right here, set the values for them, set the point light, set one of the point lights, and I just set the other 2 to be the same. It's just easier for right now to have the same parameters. And then I set the actual direction light into the shader just because it's never going to change, so I might as well do it at the beginning. So to give the fireflies the nice little bob, they're rotating around the center. They're essentially using this as their rotation matrix. And then they apply the secondary bob, which is that cosine where they go up and down. And then this guy is the world firefly, which is their actual position. So I set my lights, so point light.firefly.position equals get1 row 3. And then I alert the P shader texture, one direction, yada yada, my shader, that the fireflies changed. So I go ahead and change them too. And then I never have to touch the fact that these lights are moving ever again, because this makes that way easier. So, shader color, I have my one sphere, render it 3 times at 3 different firefly positions. Exactly what it sounds like. It's using like an off like white yellow to make it a little bright. Big shader. So because of my scaling issues where everyone's a little like wonky, I have to keep resetting the fog settings just to make it look decent because the tree, yeah, the trees and the terrain both need slightly different fog settings to make them look quite right. Which I know is gross. So I set all the settings here. Render my terrain model. Now I update the fog settings to be what looks better for the trees. And now here's why there's so many trees. I essentially draw the tree once at every... So the first index position, which I just get the position from my metal terrain. And apply a 1/20th modifier just to make it look right. A little hacky, ideally everyone would be scaled normally. That's an issue, I can't fix at this point. Set the world render, and then I have this tree index offset, which is 567. So I draw a tree at the index of the position of the first index of my terrain. Then I go to the 567th, get his position, draw, plus 567. And I keep going until I get past. So this is my way of just drawing the tree all over the mesh. I was intending it to be more appear more foresty and random with the fact that I used an odd number, but it results in this kind of funny little effect of the orchard. Like, that's why I sometimes refer to this as an orchard, because that's what it came out as. Because the very first one is done like that, all the rows are done in a line, which gives that really orchardy effect, which is kind of annoying, but whatever. And also, these trees are killing a lot of frames. Ideally, I should probably do that trick to load them onto the GPU, but no time. Yeah, see, it's 193 just looking at it. And my little fireflies, ideally I'd have way more of them. I think just one wearing a 3 looks kind of weird. I should probably make them blink in and out too, as real fireflies. Whatever. So shader texture, this is just the skybox. He's very, very simple and silly. Okay. As far as my models, my terrain here, I start by making all my vertices left to right, top to bottom. So I set up all my rows, my UVs, just let them rip. Make all my triangles based on just some awful math. And then I essentially add all the face normals to each vertex that it touches, and then I normalize it so you get a nice vertex normal that's accurate. This is a technique from the textbook. I don't think it's really that efficient, but it works, so I just took it. Skybox. It's just a normal cube that can be resized using this. Using the little offset value, which is kind of nice. Model tools. Unit box. Unit box repeating texture, which you saw in the game. Unit box 6 different sided texture. Unit pyramid with a repeating texture. And the sphere. So I did this using the 2 rotation matrices, like one to get the row and one to like tilt the next row a little bit so they start in the right spot. Then I create all my vertices using that trick of just keep rotating on my way. Just keep rotating until you get there. Yeah, times equals, yeah, there. Set the bottom ring, set all the normal faces, and then set the top ring. The bottom and top ring are different just because they don't actually make squares. They all actually touch a single vertex. Okay, this is yours. So, we'll go into the shader. This guy. So, as another nice thing of the light change I did up there, this guy gets way cleaner. Oh, and he still has the material. I think about removing him. I'm not sure. Just in case, like if you ever expand the Fong model enough where these ever might be different, I'll leave it. Excuse me. Wow. My apologies. My headset went out. Okay. So, it's all fairly straightforward, and then it has 3 or 4 objects for its lights. And then where it's really nice is I just pass a reference to an existing light, and you just copy all his values. Burp. And then he can set his buffers all nice and easy. Shading for him is exactly what you'd expect. I now have just an extra buffer for the fog parameters. My light parameters is 3-point lights and a direction light. It still has the a spotlight in here, the code for it, but I just removed it. Or it's just not being used. So directional light, or directional point. 3 points. Add them all up together and apply the fog effect. Fairly straightforward. Graphics objects. Largely almost exactly what you showed us how to do. You set all the material, diffusion amount, textures, send world of material, set texture and resource sampler, and render mesh. Very easy. Color lit. Exact same code you gave us. Very easy. So I think that's about it. Largely the biggest change is I did the lighting change. In summary. Unique changes I made. Yep, really the only big change I made was this lighting effect, this lighting object change. Which makes my DX app a lot cleaner. And then I really should be doing that GPU trick where you load a tree on, or like load a resource onto the GPU. I should be doing that for the tree with the sheer amount that I'm using them. But I'm not, and that's why I have 200 frames. Yeah, I had to change the controls for the camera, like the speed of it, because my frame rate had changed so much. So, yeah, 189 to 200 when I goes full foggy. Yeah, that's about it. There's the 3-point lights again. Directional light's kind of hard to see because the fog kind of messes it up. Yeah, and you can actually see the 2 different fog parameters kind of playing out right there. Ideally, I'd fix the scale and just have all of this be even and nice. But, yeah, that model's a little messed up. And my 3-point lights. All lighting up the trees. So, I'll just let them go for a second just to prove that they are indeed working. Oh, and you'll see weird derp hiccups in the lighting because these are all done in planes. I forgot, I may have said that. All the planes. So the planes sometimes receive lighting in weird ways. Not weird ways, it's just it looks funky when you're watching it from the outside. Yep, zoom all the way out, everything fogs away. And I believe... Okay, 1 second, I'm paranoid. I've done this video so many times that I'm forgetting what I did. So, in case I missed something... Oh yeah, I did not do the mirror. It's not in here. Just count me off if you're actually checking for it. Again, scaling issues, that's why this lighting is thoroughly flooded out. They're using the same bark texture. As you can see, it receives light. Boop. Pyramid. It receives light and texture. Pyramid and cube. And I think that's it.